Daniel Pig Lewis, yeah.
This is my son, Big W. Goes to the Oracle of Delphi. So cool.
Yes. You're laying down some serious truth, and you're doing it in the language of the Three Little Pigs, The Last Samurai.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck?
Good evening. My name is Barack. Welcome to Jared to Jared. On this week's episode, the Jareds will discuss the Three Little Pigs, building a house on the rock, Metamorphosis, the Greek Myth of Psyche, Sydney Sweeney, and much more. Simulation started.
And I was reading Hercules the other day, and same with Hercules. The moral of Hercules' story is essentially he becomes a god through his sorrow, affliction, all this crazy shit he has to go through, these trials, right? It's trials that make you Hercules. Without the trials, there'd be no Hercules. He would still be a man, right?
I love that. Yeah, it's like the wounded healer archetype. You have to go through the whole process yourself before you can guide someone else through it.
Right. That's
so I feel like the shaman. I feel like that's a good segue into the quotes I want to introduce.
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, so the first one is by our man Jesus.
Nice. He's making an early appearance.
Jumping right into it.
Baby Jesus.
Whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. And it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. Now everyone who hears these sayings of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall.
Wow.
All right,
Three Little Pigs, man. We knew it. Oh my God.
So that's my next quote. My next quote is
God knew it. You know.
Yep. Once upon a time, there were three little pigs. And the first little pig built his house out of straw. And the big bad wolf came and blew that house down. Right. So the second little pig sees that and then builds his house out of sticks. Then the big bad wolf comes along and blows that house down too.
Right.
Now the third little pig, seeing the mistakes of the first two, builds his house out of brick.
Yes.
The big bad wolf comes and he huffs and he puffs and he tries to blow the house down but cannot. And he tries and he tries and he tries until he gives himself a heart attack. And he fucking dies. And that little pig gets to enjoy the rest of his days in this beautiful brick house. What is going on?
So first comment is Haggard hates this story. He always has. Heard it once, never wanted to hear it again. There's symbology here. This is deep. Honestly, the Three Little Pigs might be the deepest,
I know, it's profoundly deep. Like there's something really serious going on here.
Right.
What is this? Tell me.
Well, okay. So I'm just thinking here, who are the three little Jareds, right? And we got to figure out the Jareds inside that, who's the one who wants to build the straw house? Who wants to build the one that's mediocre? And which one wants to build the brick house? Everybody who's listeners, right? Who are the three little pigs inside of you as well?
Oh, wow. Interesting. I hadn't thought about that. That's pretty good.
And like, what is, sort of our motivations, or what is the sacrifice we have to give up that a few parts of ourselves don't want to in order to build that brick house, right? Yeah. What's the fear behind it?
Right. Interesting. What's the fear of building the brick house? That's what you're
Right.
saying.
What's the fear? What's the anxiety? What are these three sort of archetypes within ourselves, right? Jesus knew it too. You know, why not build in stone? Why not build with brick? It's heavier. It's going to take longer time with construction, mortar, freaking, scaling the wall, that footings, all this stuff.
Yeah.
When really there's an archetype inside of us. There's a Jared pig inside that wants to just, hey, let's build up a straw house real quick, makeshift. We'll light that firecracker when we get there. Let's fire up the Xbox and not think about it. You know what I mean? Or let's just not face the impending doom out that's gonna come for us if we don't better our living situation, our space, our mental house, right?
Yeah. So are you saying that deep down at some level, the first two pigs, they knew, it's like they knew there was some danger. It's like who's gonna build a straw house?
Right.
Oh, this is gonna be great. this straw house is it's gonna be fantastic. Like who does that? Or in the Jesus example, who's gonna like build their house on sand? Which, believe it or not, people do. Like Long Island, New York, where I grew up. Like 2011, there was Hurricane Sandy, which fucking decimated the island. Right, all of these houses right on the shore got destroyed. So then what people do, like immediately after, they rebuilt their freaking houses right on the shore. It's crazy. Right. So
what is happening? Same with California, right? The whole coast is getting eaten. Yeah. All those houses are just literally like flowing into the water, into the ocean.
Seriously.
But they're trying to build levees and stuff. They're trying to keep the water back. It's like, dude, stop. Yeah,
it's so weird.
And build a brick house. In northern
They're fighting
New Mexico,
the rising tide.
We got plenty of room. We need the money.
That's true. Actually, yeah, dude, we should buy up some real estate in northern New Mexico. Who knows? It's like, the water's rising and stuff. Like, who knows? Tons of people are going to move here. We could be rich men.
Seriously, it already. So the exodus has started to happen already.
It is.
So,
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so what is this metaphor to? That's another question I want to hit you with. I've been thinking about Three Little Pigs since we've been talking about it as well. I love this Jesus. I can't believe that's a true researcher right there finding Jesus's Three Little Pigs story. That's so good. That's so good. Right?
Dude, it was so funny because when I first heard that Jesus quote, like my mind immediately was like Three Little Pigs.
Here's the crazy thing is that wasn't even in the Bible until Jesus heard Jay talking on the phone about the Three Little Pigs. And then he added that scripture, wiped everybody's minds, everybody's like, oh yeah, Three Little Pigs scripture, of course, John 3:19. Yeah. Right.
Three Little Pigs came first. So what's like, yeah. What is the metaphor? What's the metaphor and what's the moral of the tale? Like, what's it getting at?
Right. Yeah, because it can't just, so from an objective level, the third pig is clearly the smartest of the pigs, the wisest of the pigs, right? Because he ultimately survives. Okay.
Yeah.
But now let's add a little creative nonfiction to this story. Okay, we have some facts. We got 3 houses, 1 survives, three brother pigs, right? What's going on with these pigs,
Right.
Dude with the straw house, maybe he's partying a little bit too much and the microbreweries too much or something like that, right?
Yeah.
He's not taking care of his trauma. Guys like constantly on Tinder. He has no time to build a house. He didn't even go to school to build a house. He has no idea. He just went and
He's frivolous.
Yeah, he went and got some straw outside in Pecos on a fishing trip and just threw it together,
This is so funny.
Second pig, right? Second pig, dude's he's kind of got it together. He thinks he does, but listen, man, second pig, he's in a rut, right? He's just going round and round. He can never get to that brick house. He can never get in stone. He's may not be building a house out of sand, but he's still too close to the shore. His house is getting washed away soon, right?
Yeah.
What's going on with him? Maybe he's in a relationship, right? But it's unhealthy. He's with the wrong person. He's in the wrong job.
He's trying,
but he's kind of he's missing the boat a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom, we got third pig. This is how I'd like to think of Jared pig number 3, right?
Boom,
dude figured it out, right? He's arrived. And sort of brother day, brother dawn, brother dusk.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that you said that. Yeah.
Pig dusk, right? And
pig dusk. He's the self-actualized pig.
He's actually not the richest one, right?
Right.
But he doesn't care. He knows how to build a house. He's self-actualizing with himself, who he is. He's super happy. He's like, shit, man, I would play games too, but I'm gonna build this house. I love it. Me and my dog, freaking daughter pig, are hanging out. Freaking sick ass brick house, right? He's building him so just like the osprey pig, and freaking boom, whoop comes, has a heart attack.
Oh my God.
Dude fucking cleared up the block of the biggest bully. Now all the pigs can have fun. Freaking, oh man, I love this guy. You know?
I like that. Yeah,
the village of pigs, you know.
Dude, you're blowing my mind right now. Fucking dog pig and daughter pig. Okay. So no, there's so much rich material in there.
Yes.
And you're right. It is like the osprey. It's like the osprey metaphor that we were using the other day. So
right.
I think the third pig, yeah, you're like you're saying, is the self-actualized pig.
Right.
But what's fascinating is you just commented on how the actions of the self-actualized pig actually ends up liberating the rest of the community of pigs from
the rising tide, right? The rising tide.
Yeah. The rising tide raises all ships, right?
Right.
And I think that's a beautiful metaphor, and I can't believe it's embedded in the 3 little pigs. I mean, that is some depth, you know. That we
and who was Jesus, right? Jesus was the third pig.
Jesus
liberated the entire human pig population for the rest of time, you know.
Exactly.
Swine king.
So yeah, exactly. The self-actualized pig is working on themselves, fixing his house, right? He's not over there trying to like teach the straw pig how to build a better house. He's not trying to teach the stick pig how to build a better house. All he's doing is self-actualizing and showing the others what's possible.
Yes.
Becoming an example for what's possible within the community of pigs. And in so doing, serves the community the best, right? Because let's say pig number 3, Jesus pig, is like in the mire with the sand, or not the sand, well, I guess the sand pig, the straw pig, in the mire with him, like struggling, like, oh no, this is how you do it. Just like do it the way I'm saying. We can make this work. Come on. Come on. He's fixating on the pig who's struggling instead of just going and living his best life. And then again, becoming an example, and then actually freeing the whole community by inadvertently destroying the big bad wolf. And it's not even that pig number 3 said, my mission is to destroy the big bad wolf. He didn't say that at all. All he said was, given these circumstances, I'm going to create the best possible life for myself.
Right.
And in so doing, it just naturally unfolds that the big bad wolf is now eradicated from the society.
Right. Exactly. And think about it with the pig number 3, he wakes up every day, you know, thinking to himself, how can I be a little bit better? Do a little bit better. He's reflecting and stacking the good of his pigness, you know, and freaking, guess what? He doesn't have time to be sad, to be freaking wallowing and wasting away in his time, and you know, constantly self-pitying and all these weird loops we get into. He doesn't have time for a bad relationship or you know, dumb things like having to have like marriage, whatever. He's dating really cool girl, works at the pig college. She's awesome. Been together for a long time.
Yeah.
Guys arrive, Daniel Pig, Ethan Pig.
Daniel Pig Lewis. Yeah.
Daniel Pig Lewis. This is my son, Pig W.
Oh man. Yeah, I love this. I love this so much. Yeah.
But it goes to show you that, it's not just about try, right? It's not just about, wow, I'm just going to go freaking head first. I hate this straw house. I'm gonna make a little bit better house. And I don't know what I'm doing. Well, whatever. It's about boom, trying in the right directions, right? Sort of like we're saying, third pig, he's arrived. Not only has he tried, he's Brother Dusk,
Yeah.
He's Pig Dusk. He's chilling. He's freaking, guys meditating outside in the pen, pig pen. Figured it out. Beautiful brick house. And that's the other thing that ultimately I think this we figured it out is good things happen when you get to the psyche of the third pig, right? This is a triptych of the pigs.
Yeah.
And really, I think what happens is we kind of have to go through these phases in our lives.
Yes.
Where we're building straw houses and those wolves do blow our homes down back to Hercules, right?
Right.
And we have to face the monster. Then we become a second pig. We build a little bit better of a house, right? Still gets blown down. That's when it really hurts, right? That's when we're Psyche, back to Greek mythology of Psyche. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Where you're in freaking hell with Hades and Persephone, right? It's over. You think it's over, it's done. But you face that final monster. You trick the 3-headed dog Severus and you freaking make it back, right? You get together with the Eros, you become a god, you become Pig 3. Arrival, right? Yeah. You let go these sort of secular things in the world, Jesus style.
Yeah.
Chasing pigs, freaking chasing bacon your whole life, money, freaking what have you. And you find your village like the last samurai. Yeah. I can just see a pig in a samurai outfit, just sort of Captain Ulgrin, showing up at the end, finding the peace. All pigs seek, few of us ever find, but he saves that village at the end too. Inadvertently. It's the Captain Ulgrin story. Holy crap. Freaking dances with wolves too. Ultimately, after a series of getting your houses blown down, you give up the alcohol, the sake, all this stuff, and you arrive at the stone house or the brick house, right?
See, this is why I love J to J, is because you're laying down some serious truth, and you're doing it in the language of the 3 little pigs, the last samurai.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck? It's so
Ethan Hawke.
Oh man.
I mean, can't get much better,
No, you can't.
Yeah, right.
Quick side note though, what's that movie? And we'll come back to it. But what's that movie with Ethan Hawke and Jude Law? It's a sci-fi film. So good. Really good sci-fi.
Is it Gattaca or?
Yeah, I think Gattaca. We should do Gattaca one day.
Dude, let's please.
Gattaca's really good.
Deep.
Yeah. Talk about a Jesus movie, dude. Ethan and Jude, forget it. Dude, so awesome.
Dude.
Oh man, so good. All right. Anyway, but yeah, so I love what you're saying. 3 little pigs is that they're not actually 3 separate little pigs. They're the same little pig at different stages of his life.
Right.
Because you're right. You do have to. I mean, man, how many straw houses have I built? Like so many.
Right.
I've built some stick houses too. I've definitely built some stick houses.
Sure.
Now I'm in the process of beginning to lay the bricks for the brick house, you know?
Oh my God.
Like early stages. I'm talking early stages.
Sure, foundation.
But that's my mantra. That's my mantra right now.
But for once now you have a foundation, right?
Dude, exactly. And that's to push the conversation a little bit deeper. Let's get away from the pigs and get more into the Jesus story, because in the Jesus one, I mean, clearly, and you're getting at this, he's not talking about your finances. Right. He's not talking about your marriage, right? I mean, because that's one reading with like the little pigs. You could read it that way. It doesn't have to be this like spiritual truth thing. You could look at it and say, okay, I was frivolous with my money. I put way too much money on my credit card. That was building the house out of straw, and now I'm like screwed financially.
Right.
What you actually need to do is live within your means, get a good paycheck, invest your money, do all that kind of stuff, right? And that's going to be your brick house. So there's ways in which you could read it, you know, in more material, mundane kind of things, or you're swiping through Tinder constantly, you know, going out with like, I don't know, girls partying, whatever. That's your straw house. And then eventually you get your stuff together and you're like, no, I want to build a real partnership. And then, you know, you find like a serious person, and then that's your brick house. That's your relationship. Right.
Sure.
But Jesus, just based on, you know, Jesus's other teachings and generally who the guy was, I don't think he's talking about, you know, building your house on the rock foundation. And he's talking about like having good finances and having a good relationship with your partner. He's talking about the kingdom of God, right? He's talking about something much, much deeper, you know, much more personal and much more spiritual.
The galactic kingdom.
The galactic kingdom. So what do you think? I mean, what comes to mind with that? I mean, what is the rock foundation that's being expressed in the Jesus version?
Right. So I keep thinking still back to sort of a fundamentalist viewpoint on it, where in order to actualize in a spiritual sense, in order to reach the galactic, you know, kingdom of God, you have to graduate from your straw house, your stick house, and stop caring about secular things. Just like you said, all this random, you know, stuff that ultimately is frivolous doesn't matter at the end of the day, right? And you have to find some sort of recognition and peace within thyself, some sort of mastery of your own consciousness, right? Of your own brain, of the subconscious even.
Yes. Yeah.
Because as we know, living experience is a true mixture of both. We live it through our dreams, through our actions, through our trauma, through our anxieties, right? Depression, things acting, drinking too much, whatever that, what have you, right? That's sort of a unbalancing of the chi, right? That's not the figure of the yin and the yang, sort of, so to speak. You have an unbalance, spiritually speaking. And in the Christian sense, same thing. In the Christian mystical sense, you've lost your faith within God. You've lost that Holy Spirit, right? That makes us human. And that's really what Christianity is ultimately about, is the loss of the human that was created by God. We have been dehumanized from the snake, from sin, from laziness, from straw, from gluttony, from all this greed, all this, you know, visceral stuff, right?
Right.
And ultimately what we're trying to get back to is the Garden of Jared, right? Where we can get back to becoming a craftsman, being the carpenter like Jesus, connecting with God, which is a metaphorical sense of peace within thyself, right?
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I more or less think the same thing. It's, God, there's so many quotes from, whether it's Christ, whether it's Buddha, whether it's like Marcus Aurelius, like Plato,
right.
You know, all these guys who are saying master the self.
Yeah.
Master the self, master the
Right.
self first, right? Master your own mind.
Yeah.
And I forgot who said this one, some like ancient Chinese guy, but he goes like it's harder to defeat your own mind than it is to defeat an army of thousands, you know?
Right. Right.
So I think that's what's there is you connect to the ground of spirit, of source with a capital S, you know,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And it's all just, it's hard to describe, like, okay, Christ consciousness or Buddha mind, whatever language you want to use to describe it, that impossibly deep connection, not to self, but through self into everything else. Like
Right.
James Joyce has a line where he says, strike through the particular to the universal. So what that means is you go through the self all the way down to the bottom of the self, and then that opens up to everything else.
Right.
You know?
Right.
The
Right.
self dissolves, and now it's everything else. That's the Garden of Eden. That's
Right.
the,
Right.
you know, all that. And I think that's that rock foundation. And it was cool because in the last retreat, I had a beautiful retreat, meditation retreat, and you know, I've done so many of these now, but it's starting to shift. It's starting to open up more, where it's really wonderful. It's really cool, where it's starting to shift from like being caught up on stuff in my mind or worried about this or worried about that to this just like deep, quiet, steady peace that almost feels unbreakable, where it's like in those moments, and I'm far from this, but you know, the old Zen masters will talk about like you develop that unbreakable peace within yourself so strongly that you could be in a battle. Someone could be coming at you with a sword and you'll be okay. They might even kill you and you'll be okay. It's just that unbreakable peace. And I've gotten like a glimpse at that, you know, like a brief glimpse at that. I mean, these guys were living it every single day of their life, but these moments where it's just like, oh, okay, that's it. That's the rock. That's the steadiness. There is nothing that can touch it, you know,
Right.
and it goes way, 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 way beyond you, you know?
Right. Right.
So yeah, so that's essentially just building on what you're saying. I think that it is that inner spirit. And then I don't think that then suggests that we can't do the other life things, you know? I don't think it's saying
No.
right? It's not saying find the rock and then just sit there on the rock in enlightened bliss or something. It's saying, no, build your house on the rock.
Right.
It's saying build a house, but don't do it on the sand. You know?
Two things in response. I love how solid the third state of being is. It's a rock. It's a brick, right? It's unmovable, like you said. Once you find this inner peace within yourself, which is part of maturation too, you know.
Definitely.
And I've definitely felt a change in myself, you know, both of us, whatever, you know, we're going about it our own ways.
For sure.
That being said, it's unmovable. I feel like it's something that won't change with you, right? It's the monastery sort of thing that you build in your head, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Build that foundation within yourself, you know, and then the results of, right. This doesn't mean that, okay, you're abandoning totally the pig village, right?
Exactly.
Or the village or the garden or whatever for Jesus, right? What is a kingdom? A kingdom isn't a place with one person in it.
Right.
The kingdom of God, the galactic kingdom of galacticism, right? The galactic observatory in space. You know, it's filled with people. It's the village. It's freaking, it's everyone already all at once, right? And what happens is when you get to that space, that third sort of place of consciousness, of peace, right? Well, then everything else fundamentally comes freely thereafter. That's why we do it.
Yes.
Right? What happens with the third pig? He saves the village. They have a freaking Dreams of Jurga party. everybody's cheering, drinking freaking KK whiskey. You know, it's freaking the wolf is dead. You know, this guy did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's good for him. I did it. I'm freaking Hercules. Oh my God. This is awesome. My freaking, you know, high school crush, whatever. That's the kingdom of God. That's what Jesus wanted us to get to, is a place of peace, of you know, more moral understanding and you know, control of our goddamn faculties, sort of, and just, you know, being able to do what we actually truly desire. Because so many times, hey man, that first piggy, like, and the guy who built the castle in sand, he was at least trying to his best of abilities, you know. Hey, he wasn't trying the best, had to learn a few lessons, you know, lost some pups in the meantime, went through some trauma, but it was hard building that house too, you know what I mean? So, you know, we get to a place eventually through trial, through error, you know, that we can then get to a spot where you can, and you'll never get to the stone foundation if you don't have that sort of experience within your life. So then, boom, you have good relationships.
Exactly.
You respect your friends. They respect you. You respect the person that you're with. Likewise, you know, you're good with your family, what have you, right? You know, you're good with, you know, your finances. You're not trying to go freaking gamble things away, whatever. Right, because you've arrived, you know. Next thing you know, you're freaking Daniel Craig wearing a little scarf, freaking on CBS Sunday morning. You know, save the village. And Daniel Craig's not by himself.
Yeah,
you know, staring at a wall, just meditating alone constantly, or just like, you know, that's not the stone foundation. That's not the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God is reaping the rewards of being a human, which is, you know, social, and it's community. It's awesome. It's all those things. It's safety. It's security. It's freedom. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly
freedom from the wolf. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. And I want to say something first, but I want to get into what the wolf is.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, that again, the stone foundation, you're just doing your life from the inside out rather than the outside in, you know, because I think when you're building the straw house, when you're building the house on sand, which we all have to do at one point in order to learn, that's when you're running around really with some kind of existential dread, you know, you're freaked out and you're trying to find safety, right?
Right.
And a lot of people aren't even aware of the existential dread. So if you're aware of it, that's good job, you know, that's a step forward.
Right.
So some people aren't even aware of the existential dread, but they're operating from this place of, I need to feel safe. I need to feel safe.
Right.
So then how do they feel safe? They go and get the house, get the relationship, get the job, whatever, all these things. But that's trying to create that peace from the outside in. Right. And that's fickle. That doesn't last. That's building the house on sand.
Right.
Building the house on rock is, again, going inward first, clearing out the inside, and then manifesting that outside. And for some people, that does mean sitting there naked, meditating on the rock for the next 60 years. Some people, sure. I mean, that's a very small number of people, but some people, that's their thing. Like I saw a video on YouTube or something the other day of this, I think they call them sadhus, like this wandering Indian yogi who's like up in the Himalaya mountains, and the dude's naked, wearing nothing but a loincloth with his face all painted crazy. And he's sitting there in 5 feet of snow, just fucking meditating on top of a mountain, like an insane person. And it was these hikers. He took the video. They're going on this hike, taking some good shots. And they're just like, is that a person? So they start walking up towards him. And the dude's fucking naked, meditating on this mountaintop, 5 feet of snow. He should be dead.
Right.
But he looks like, I mean, he was definitely an insane person. The guy looks like totally ecstatic. He's all like laughing and doing somersaults down the mountain. And all the hikers are just like,
which is part of it. Sure.
Yeah. All the hikers are like, what the fuck was that? So a few people do that.
Right.
You know,
sure.
But then that's a very small number. The rest of us, we create that foundation, then we build the house on that. You know, we do the job, the relationship, the finances, the physical health from that place of inner groundedness and rootedness, you know?
Right.
So that said, what I think the wolf is, I think that's just our inner demons. And actually, I think this is a great transition into Psyche, Hercules, the mythology you were looking at, because the wolf is the monster, right? And the monster is the inner monster. You know, it's the shadow self. It's the inner dragon that you as the hero has to go and slay in order to liberate yourself and all the various parts of you and your psyche.
Right. Yeah. Which is Jesus has that too, right? The wolf is essentially the devil. And that's another crazy thing with the whole Jesus thing as well, is it's always sort of this metaphor for the graduation of the self.
Yeah.
Right. And the temptations, sort of, when he's out there meditating, fasting for 40 days, 40 nights, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then he's offered the kingdom of men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Turns down food, all this stuff, right? Because what is he really gonna get? A brick house, you know, something that's unmovable, not fleeting, like the stick house and the freaking straw house, right?
Yeah.
Getting to that place. But there's this representation of our own challenges, I think, is the metaphor that we always go through within life. You know, trauma that we need to get over, freaking addictions, what have you, the list goes on. What choices are we going to make? Are we going to go down the freaking straw house road again? Are we going to say yes to the wolf and eventually get eaten, right? Or are we going to say, oh yes, kingdom of man, I'll settle for this now, right? But later you're completely fucked, and you not only fucked yourself, you fucked the whole entire kingdom, the whole village, right? Yeah. Now everyone's screwed. So we also kind of have this collective responsibility as individuals to maintain, you know, a sense of sereneness, peace, safety, security, what have you, right? Because if we don't, then we can honestly lose like fundamental things within the collective, like love, right? Yeah. And that's the mythology too of Psyche.
Oh, and we're seeing this happen in real time, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, like if it is true, everything's interconnected. So the best thing you can do for the society, like you're saying, is work on yourself in a healthy way, not a selfish way, in a healthy way. Exactly. And that's going, that connection to love, to peace, to serenity, that's going to balance out your life. It's like self-reliance, like the Emerson essay, like what that's actually saying isn't hyper individualism, me. It's saying take care of your own shit in a way that then benefits, like the third pig, everyone around you, you know?
Right.
And then we're seeing in our own society, which seems to unfortunately be, if not collapsing, at least suffering greatly.
Right.
I mean, why is that happening? You know, and I think if we look at that kind of interconnection thing, like the society's suffering because individuals are suffering. We're not building the brick house within ourselves, within our own lives.
Right.
You know, and we're all scrambling looking for the straw house.
And now there's
building the house on sand, and now there's wolves everywhere. Yeah.
It's an infestation of wolves. I mean, even look at our government. You know, Shakespeare would be rolling in it. He'd be writing so much about what's going on. Right?
Shakespeare would be having a field day. Yeah.
Oh my God, I wish he was on this pod right now. Oh my God, I do say so. The Three Little Pigs are very good, very good. I don't know. That was a Chuck-a-lot Shakespeare accent.
Yeah, I picture Shakespeare having more of like a Cockney accent, like a non-educated British guy or something.
Sure. What of Johnny Depp's various accents? So I'm kind of okay. Think about this little parable. This might not be as good, but 3 kids walk into a room, right? And there's epic freaking a house of dominoes. And the first kid, he's so anxious. I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see it when it's finished, and they're at the front of the room. So he knocks down the last domino. Nothing happens. It's the most lackluster thing in the world, right? Doesn't work. Second kid says, that's not how you do it. You at least got to come over here. So second kid walks to halfway across the room, knocks down the domino, only builds half a house, right? The first kid's like, come on, man, that was weak. So they put up all the dominoes again. Third kid says, you have to start from the beginning. Walks all the way across the room, knocks that first domino, and boom, everything else just falls into place thereafter. And what happens at the end? He builds the domino house.
Yeah.
He figures it out. And it was actually faster and easier to just go back to the first domino, the first issue within our lives, instead of trying to start at the end, start at the middle, start at the beginning. Put in the work, go to the other side of the room and start from the freaking that very first domino, and then just watch your house of stone be built on its own. Right. But we got to walk. We got to make that walk. We got to put in the effort.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I like this because it's like, I feel like the J to J conversations, especially like the past, like between 5 and 10, maybe.
Yeah.
Have been like, it's like the process in real time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because like, as we're speaking, this isn't stuff, audience. This isn't stuff that we have 100% figured out. It's not like, here's the truth. We've done it. Brother Dusk, both of us are like third little pig sitting in his chill house. Like maybe when we're in our 60s, Right. We're both in our like mid 30s right now, early mid 30s, right? Like maybe in our 60s, we're going to look back and say like, that's when we started.
Right. That's when we figured out. Right.
Like those early day-to-day conversations.
Right? The three little pigs. Right.
Like that's when we started figuring it out, laid the foundation, made that first brick, hit that first domino,
Listen, can you imagine if there was a Deleuze and Guattari podcast when they were thinking of the assemblage and the machine and all this stuff and the triptych?
Yeah.
I'd listen to that all. It's cool. It's cool. Philosophy and process, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the experience of it, and it's like I'm working on that book with Mitra, writing about all the Zen stuff, and it's like it's cool because it's helping me clarify my own process. It's not like expository writing in the sense that it's like, here's everything I know and I'm delivering it prepackaged to the reader. It's like, It's like, no, this is a real life process. It's like, the text is very alive because it's stuff that I'm figuring out as I'm writing it,
Right.
Same thing with J to J.
No,
So
I love that.
This is cool.
Yeah. And that's a cool thing. It's coming from two minds that's literally like our most prized possession, what we've spent our most time on, right?
Yeah.
You have a master's in theory, literature. You've been writing books. You've been on the spiritual path, PhD in freaking Zen. Yeah. I got the PhD, have been in the discipline, still writing all the. We're just constantly been around philosophy for years,
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
So freaking, it's not just like Joe Rogan, just like, oh yeah, man, what you think? Like this could be. It's like, nothing against whatever per se, like thought experiment, this sort of things. Yeah. But I think it's cool because we can actually talk about figures like Plato, the cave, freaking Aristotle, get into, Jacques Lacan and the objet petit and freaking all this crazy stuff, right?
Yeah. No, it's funny about Rogan. Like, sometimes I'll listen to that. I haven't listened to him in a while, but it'll be like, sometimes I'm like, man, that dude's pretty funny. Other times I'm like, that was a good question. That was like a really smart question. Okay. Other times I'm like, that dude's fucking so dumb.
This guy's
like,
an idiot. You have drank entirely too much pre-workout.
Seriously.
Which there's a place for those too, and I actually like it too because it's almost kind of like elementary philosophy in a way. It's like your friends getting together in high school, watching Waking Life, and then being like, "Oh man, it blew my mind."
Exactly.
Did you ever think about like pizza in space? Though,
right.
Again, just like I don't know about that one, but yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But it's still like engaging with the thought experiment, which is awesome. So yeah. So let me lay down and just, interject if I mess up the myth in any way, sort of way. I'm trying to think of it from memory anyways, right? Which is always fleeting, but it's interesting that the myth of Psyche actually based around the three too, the triptych, right? Her sisters, 3 sisters, right? And she's the most beautiful one of the sisters. And she is so beautiful. Psyche, gorgeous. Sydney Psyche.
Dude, Sydney Sweeney's so hot.
Oh my God. She's Psyche. Sydney Psyche. She's so beautiful that men can't approach her. No one can. They're just like, oh man, it's way too intimidated. She's way too hot. She's an 11. Just forget it, I'm way out of my league. So they go for her sisters. Sisters get married, whatever. Wow, the sad thing is she ends up staying single for a long time. She just can't find a date. And there's a good little motif for us too, is, hey, if you even think the person you're after is out of your league, go for it. They might be just there chilling, just like lonely and like,
yeah, because no one's got you.
Yeah. So anyways, Aphrodite, of course, the worst, so hot, but she gets jealous. And she plots on Psyche. And she's like, what the heck? All these guys, they were freaking using me as like boner of the month. Now that everybody's thinking about Psyche, I'm losing my followers here. I'm going to kill this chick. So she gets Eros, right? And Eros is the god of love. And guess how he was conceived? From freaking the god of riches and wealth. Had sex with the goddess of poverty, right? And what did they make? They made Eros the god of love, right? Which is a cool concept in itself there,
Yeah.
So Aphrodite tells Eros, all right, you need to get and Eros had this arrow, right? Shoot the Cupid's arrow. Yeah. One golden arrow to make you fall in love, and one arrow made of lead that will forever make you be opposed to love. So cool.
So cool. Yeah, so cool.
So Aphrodite's like, go find the ugliest dude on earth. Freaking dude's busted, man. Danny DeVito, whatever. Shoot him with an arrow, and then go shoot freaking Psyche. And boom, we'll mess with her, right? This is gonna be great. So anyways, Eros shows up to the house, freaking he's never seen her before. Creeping in, takes out his arrow, sees Psyche, Sydney Psyche, so hot. He can't believe his eyes. He's just like, oh my God, this chick's freaking beautiful. And he's like about to faint. She's so hot. He freaking stumbles. Oh, stabs himself with the freaking golden arrow. Right. Now this dude's desperately in love with her. And he's freaking out. He doesn't know what to do. So he returns back to court, freaking eventually he gets found out by Aphrodite. Aphrodite freaking throws this dude in jail, And so Psyche's alone again, single, back in the world, sucks, so depressed all the time, right? Freaking goth grunge girl, so hot. And then her dad's like the king. He's like, listen, we got to get, she's like, Dad, you got to help me find somebody. I'm never going to find me single forever, going out to eat Chinese food with you, right? On Fridays. So the dad goes to the Oracle of Delphi. So cool. Yes. Simu namu kamu namu we. And the Oracle of Delphi's tripping balls, Oh, yeah. Freaking eating her drugs and shit. And one of the gods, nobody knows, it could be who it was, probably Eros, that sly bastard, tells the oracle, The only way she's going to find a husband is if the king takes her up to a mountain, puts her in a wedding dress, and leaves her, and then a beast will come and take her as his bride.
Whoa, okay.
So freaking the king's in sorrow, just like, oh man, that's bad news, you know. Freaking love Sydney. So he goes to Psyche and tells her the news, you know. Eventually, ultimately, Psyche's like, listen, I just need to like get laid, you know, or like go on a date. It's been forever, beast or not. So she agrees. So they take Psyche to the top of the mountain. Freaking procession. Parents are all sad, sisters. They leave her up there, wedding dress. Freaking, she goes to sleep, wakes up. She's in this serene garden. Beautiful freaking palace in front of her. Glowing clouds and shit like that, you know. Oval tears. And servants come out. Psyche, come with us. You know, you're now the queen here. And we have a place for you to stay. She goes in. There's freaking angels singing and shit. Naked people eating grapes, laughing and stuff like that. So awesome. Goes into her quarters, passes out, you know, wakes up, husband's in the room. He's in the shadows. She can't see him, you know, freaking. And it turns out he's a really nice guy, you know. He's like, hey, welcome, you know. I'm your husband. Like, so nice to meet you. Psyche, you're so beautiful.
Is the husband a new character?
The husband's the beast.
Okay.
Right? The beast that was going to take her at the top of the mountain.
Oh, okay.
For his bride, you know. So he's like, listen, we can have a relationship. This is cool, but you can never look at my face. Like, never, please just can't look at my face. Like, I'm busted, you know. I'm wolf mouth.
Is that the same premise as Beauty and the Beast?
Similar.
Yeah.
Similar. So, so they hook up every night, you know, time goes on, what have you. Eventually she needs to see this dude's face, you know. So she asks him about it, whatever. She gets sent off back to the mountaintop in a mist, you know, carries her back. So she goes to her sisters, the other two pigs, right? That freaking built straw houses and stick houses. They start talking all kinds of shit to her. They're like, what, man? You never even seen your husband's face? This chick's freaking ridiculous. We got like husbands. We got mediocre lives, whatever. They never hang out with us, but you know, it's fine. We're like in these weird relationships, you know, but at least we're in one. Right. And then they tell her, listen, we heard this story. There's this monster. He's got snakes in his mouth and shit. He's going to eat you alive. You know, you better make sure this isn't the snake monster, man, you know, snake in the grass. So she's dreaming about it, freaking out. So she waits that night till he goes to sleep. And she's like, I need to find out who this is. So she gets a lantern and puts it to his face. The most handsome man she's ever seen in her life. Guess who it is? It's freaking Euros, that sly dog. And he gets pissed. He's like, you shouldn't have seen my face. Like, I'm the god of love. You can't know. I can't be hooking up with you. He leaves her forever. So she's devastated. She not only lost her husband, as the myth says, she lost love. Right? Her house was blown the fuck down. You know?
Yeah.
She had a lot of work to do to get to that first domino. So she sees this goat god, you know, the harvest god, Pan. Pan tells her, listen, you just got to go through some trials. You'll get him back. She goes through trial after trial. Freaking Aphrodite throws her under the gun, the bus, all this stuff, you know. So many trials that she even looks at Persephone's box. She dies. She freaking passes away from this mist, you know, on this crazy chore Aphrodite is giving her. Euro so hurt about his girlfriend, Sydney Psyche. He goes to Zeus, begs Zeus, listen, man, make her god, bring her back to life. she's an incredible person. She's wonderful. Aphrodite is just being the worst, freaking whatever. Zeus brings her back. They go return to the village, freaking the Zeus village. They have a marriage, freaking crazy wedding. Aphrodite's there. She's even so happy that she can't deny their love. The resilience of the third daughter, right? And boom, she became a god. She arrived, she arrived. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she had to go into the underworld.
Right.
Go into the unconscious space and shine the light of awareness and psyche, as in like consciousness, right?
Right.
Shine the light of awareness of consciousness on those shadows. It's like you go into your own psyche, into your consciousness, your subconscious with a flashlight. And then there's all these like spooky, shadowy, monstery looking things. And then you turn and shine a flashlight on it. And then it ends up being Eros, beautiful God love or something, and it's that's this is why I want to go to school, be a therapist, whatever, keep doing the spiritual thing, is because it's like, that's what that process is. It's like you go inwards.
Yes.
And I've done it so many times with myself at this point where it's like all this shit in my head that I'm like scared of, anxiety, fear, blah, blah, blah,
Right.
And then you go in with compassion and you shine a light on it. And it turns out that it's just this like beautiful little part of you that was trying to help, but didn't know how, or something like that.
Yes. Yes.
So that's all really cool stuff. And that story of transformation. I mean, because that's the thing. It's like the two other sisters, and I love how it's always threes, and like I'm the third son, I'm the third son in my family. Hey, so I love
their
that.
child as well.
Oh yeah. Right. Oh shit.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's part of our friendship, part of the,
sure. The triptych. Come on.
Yeah.
Baked those up from the grave,
Yeah, we're both triptych, man. So, wow, that's actually really interesting. So there's something to that, but the Trinity, it's the triptych, it's the third son, it's all there,
Sure.
Jesus was probably the third son. Who knows?
Hey, so. John Bon Jovi, right?
John Bon Jesus.
Yeah.
So anyway, the first two sisters, they're like, it's like their lives are probably fine. They're probably doing some cool stuff. It's like got their families. They're bringing the kids to Little League on the weekends, whatever. That's cool, man. Right on. Oh yeah, it's like that's great. But what's lacking there is the fullness of a human experience, yes. and it's that fullness of going into the underworld, into the unconscious, which we all have.
Right.
Now, whether or not you choose to go into it, that's up to every individual.
Right.
But when you do go into it, it's terrifying, it's awful, it's painful, it's scary. But then what you retrieve, the depth of love, the depth of joy, the depth of sorrow.
Right.
Just that more fully developed experience of being the actualized human, being the third little pig, building the brick house, building the house on the rock, being Psyche, who goes in, has this deeply transformative experience, comes out the other side renewed. And Psyche, in ancient Greek, the word Psyche has two meanings. There's not there. First meaning is soul or consciousness. And then the second meaning of Psyche is butterfly or moth, either one. And what's the main association that we get with butterflies, with moths? Transformation, right? I mean, it's the caterpillar.
Yes.
That goes into the cocoon, goes through the transformative process.
So
good. It's not a comfortable process by any means. I mean, when a caterpillar goes into a cocoon, it actually it's insane. It like melts its body, like something fucking crazy happens. Its body turns into goo or something and then reforms. It's definitely not like a comfortable process.
Sure.
And then it comes out of the cocoon and it's this beautiful butterfly that's flitting around, right?
The metamorphosis, right?
Metamorphosis, yeah, exactly. And that's why when you look at Ovid, the Roman writer who recorded all these Greek stories, Ovid's main body of work is called the Metamorphosis.
Nice. Yes.
And every single one of his stories, whether it's the story of Psyche, whether it's the story of Narcissus and Echo, whether it's the story of any of these guys,
Icarus, yeah.
Yep, Icarus, every single figure goes through this process of deep transformation, right?
Right.
Now, why are we so into stories of transformation? Because that's not just in Greek tales. I mean, look at any TV show. Character development is so compelling, right? We see individuals go through transformation in our lives. What's one of the most fulfilling and enjoyable things to see in the people around you, and especially for us as teachers, right? To see young people learning and growing and transforming, right? There's something deeply fulfilling. Or you as a father, to see Pig Daughter to grow.
Right.
To grow and change. I mean, it's so cool. It's so beautiful, right? I mean, I've known you guys, I've known Dalton long enough to see that little kid go through different chapters and phases. And it's cool seeing her grow,
Sure.
So there's something deeply, deeply, deeply satisfying about witnessing that growth and witnessing it in ourselves. So embedded in the very word psyche is that potential for deep transformation. So when we look at our own psyches, or we look at the study of psychology, right? I mean, all of that is just transformation. And that's what the human being is. The human being is
beautiful,
is an organism in a constant state of transformation and change.
Right.
Yeah.
In order to mature, become more protected, make wiser decisions, thrive within our environments, right? Within our bodies, within our communities, all this stuff, which brings us ultimate happiness. That's really what happiness activates for, is you're doing something good. So biologically, your body and your brain is rewarding you for the result of something that you were able to manifest, oftentimes in spite of trials and tribulations, right?
Yeah.
Despite of wolves and what have you. And one little side note, the sisters, right? Their discontent with Psyche proves their discontent with their own lives, right? They haven't arrived yet. If they had, they wouldn't have been making fun of their sister, right? And freaking out and trying to shove things within her inner face and all this stuff. No, they would have been supportive of her and been like, listen, he a good guy. Like, he might just whatever, like he'll show you his face when he's ready. It's fine. We love you. We're glad to see you here, and she would have avoided that, Well, what happens though? Second point there is what happens with Psyche at the end. Zeus welcomes her as an immortal. What happens with the brick house? What happens with Jesus's stone house, right? Foundation. It's immortal, right? The galactic kingdom arriving, the galactic village. It's a place that's unmovable. What Psyche gets back is love forever.
Yeah.
And she didn't just get peace of mind. No, she got back Eros. She got back her love, a true love, right? Sense in herself. And she became freaking immortal. She's up there partying with the gods, Yeah. And again, this sort of brother day, brother dawn, brother dusk, going from the shoreline, the beach house, the sandcastle, to the rock foundation on top of a mountain, right? Going from straw to stick to brick.
Yeah.
That's the freaking that's basically, the triptych pyramid of the Jare to Jare. That should be part of our sort of theory that we do, though. Maslow, heck with his pyramid, right?
Yeah.
This is the pyramid of life, of foundation. There's 3 tiers,
Right.
That for and what do the Greeks teach us so much? They teach us about storytelling, Hercules, Apollo. We love these stories, right? and Aristotle, the ethos, the pathos, the logos, how do we convey our emotions and credibilities and all these great stuff, right?
Yeah.
We learn from them, and freaking they were the understanders and philosophers of what a happy life ultimately looks like, which is overcoming and eventually arriving, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, like, oh man, totally forgot what I was going to say, but there's this other thing. Oh yeah, I was going to say, this is definitely a chapter in the J book.
Oh yeah.
This is, all this stuff is fitting. But yeah, I was thinking too, you mentioned like the sisters who were like, making fun of Psyche, whatever. It's interesting because when someone is living in their straw house or their stick house, right?
Right.
And they don't see the potential for growth within themselves or within others. You over-identify with your straw house. You over-identify with your stick house, and then you're always on the defensive because now you think you have something to prove.
Right.
There's a shame and defensiveness in there.
Yeah.
Whereas the individual who lives in the brick house would never, if they truly do live in that brick house, they would never harm another individual or ridicule another individual or anything like that, because they know what the process looks like.
Right.
It's like the true master knows what it was to be in the straw house.
Right.
Knows what it was to think that they were never going to get out of the straw house.
Yes.
Knows what it was to have their house blown down freaking 40 times, right?
Right.
And then they also know what it is to build the stick house and be sitting there thinking, okay, I got this. This is good. I got this. And then that shit gets blown down.
Right.
They know what that is. They know what poverty is, what deprivation is, all of that. So they've gone through that process. And I think what that does is generate more understanding, compassion, forgiveness, all of that. When you're sitting there in your brick house, the pig isn't sitting there in the brick house going, look at those losers in their straw house and their stick house. Like, no, of course not.
Right.
It's not even possible for that third pig to feel that way.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they've learned so much and cleared that out. And that's earlier in the conversation, maybe even before we started getting really into the episode, you mentioned the whole kind of like wounded healer kind of thing. I don't know if that's what you called it, but like just that process of you go through the situation yourself, like Hercules, and then you become the teacher.
Right. The C.S. Lewis. Right.
Yeah. What was the C.S. Lewis line again?
God, now it's kind of evading me, but essentially, a man with trauma is a man who's set up to become a hero or something like that. Right.
Oh, right.
Essentially, the story of trauma is the story of also a hero. Right. That's the story of a hero. But you can't become that unless you go through trial, tribulation,
Yeah. We become the heroes of our own lives, and that's something I am beginning to learn and understand pretty clearly, is that the full actualization process or the full development of a human being. Let's say, I'm just going to put like numbers on it. Let's say you have like 0 through 100, and I'm not talking about age, just in terms of like self-development, 100 being like the most fully actualized an individual can become. I think most of us get stuck at like 20.
Sure.
We don't know what a fully actualized individual looks like. I mean, maybe we do, maybe you meet them here and there. But for the most part, like that full level of depth, the fully developed hero is something that's rare. But when you do meet that individual or become that individual, it's like this huge fucking oak tree that's just rooted so deep into the ground and just so steady and so strong. Its roots going to the center of the earth and its branches just shooting out into the cosmos.
It's like
You
an
know?
aspen freaking orchard, just
Yeah.
one aspen tree, a whole entire mountain freaking from
Yeah.
that one tree, you know,
Yeah,
that
it's the
lasts for
Dooku tree.
1,000 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I'm also thinking sort of, you know, that Noah's Ark parable, right?
yeah.
Where the straw house and the stick house people were making fun of this dude for building an ark, you know, a brick
right.
house made out of stone, you know.
Right.
They're like, geez, look how big this thing is. This old man's lost his freaking mind, you know.
Right.
But like you said, though, as the third pig or what have you in the ark, Noah was never like, you know, wow, fuck you guys, you know, whatever. He was still like, no, you guys should come with me. You know, I'm bringing the animals. Everybody, grid's coming. You
Right.
should load up.
Grid's
Like, let's go. You know, unfortunately for the human race, they didn't. And in all those parables, not just the Christian one, the Hindu one, the Buddhist one, about the flood, right?
Yeah.
They all sort of end on that same sort of note. But what happens though is that ark, that stone, that ship, it spawns human race again, right? Humanity. It's survival. It's not just survival, it's thriving, right?
On behalf of the Jareds, thank you for listening. Like, follow, and tell your friends. The Jareds will be back next time, and always remember, even castles made of sand fall into the sea eventually. Enjoy your night.
Exactly. We should write that down. We should write that down.
We did it. We're done.
We did it. Logging off.